प्रात भान प्रकट भये ग्वाल बाल मिलन आये प्रात भान यह प्रात भान प्रकट भये प्रात भान प्रकट भये ग्वाल बाल मिलन आये तुम्हारे द्वार दरस ठाड़े मोहन मुरली बाला मोहन मोहन प्रातवान प्रकट भये ग्वाल बाल मिलन आये तुम्हारे द्वार दरस ठाड़े हर गम पदनी सानी धव मगर सा सारे गर गम गम पम पदा गा
Today we gather, hearts full of cheer, to celebrate a soul we hold so dear. A guiding light in our lives each day. Dr. Rajan Sankaran, you lead the way. With wisdom and kindness, your spirit shines bright, healing the hearts with your gentle insight. It teaches to learn and to always be true. In the world of homeopathy, we owe it to you. Happy birthday, dear doctor, it's your special day. With gratitude and love, we don't want to say. Your passion and wisdom, they've touched so many lives. Dr. Sankaran, you inspire us to thrive. Nights filled with laughter, lessons that stay in your caring hands. We found our way. You opened our eyes to the path of the soul. With compassion and courage, you made us feel whole. Each remedy shared, each story you tell, brings us closer to knowing ourselves so well. Your heart is a treasure, your spirit a guide. In this journey of healing, we walk by your side. Happy birthday, dear doctor, it's your special day. With gratitude and love, we all want to say. Your passion and wisdom, they've touched so many lives. Dr. Sankaran, you inspire us to thrive. So here's to the moments, both big and small, the laughter, the lessons you've given us all. May this year bring you joy, health and peace, as you continue to help all our worries release. With every fond memory, with every embrace, you shape our future, you cherish your grace. Happy birthday, dear doctor, it's your special day. With gratitude and love, we all want to say. Your passion and wisdom, they've touched so many lives. Dr. Sankaran, you inspire us to thrive. So let's raise a toast, let our voices ring clear to Dr. Rajan Sankaran, we hold so dear. With hearts full of joy and wishes so bright. Happy birthday, dear doctor, may your future be light. Ki Rajan Sankaran, we hold so dear. With hearts full of joy and wishes so bright. Happy birthday, dear doctor, may your future be light. So perhaps we can start, sir.
Yeah,
River,
yeah.
it's always a joy and honor to be speaking with you. And now today it's on your birthday. It's just a wow feeling. This day carries so much meaning to us all. Not just a celebration of your life, but also a moment to acknowledge the light, the healing, the wisdom, everything that you have shared so much with so many people. On behalf of us all, we wish you all a very heartfelt happy birthday, sir. May the years ahead bring you all the inspiration and joy that you have given to all so many people. We are truly grateful to be part of this special moment with you. Sir, it is said that if you want to understand a book well, you need to understand the foreword first. The same thing applies to a teacher. If you want to understand the teachings of someone well, you need to understand that teacher very well. In that context, at some time we had asked you, sir, what is that one word that describes you as a person, as everything? And you said, if one word could describe me, that would be a seeker. It was mesmerizing to hear that, and I have witnessed in this same thing in so many conversations, so many interactions, so many dealings with you. Thus, we titled this event as The Heart of a Seeker, where we, your students, and even the whole homeopathic community would love to know their teacher as a seeker. What is the deeper meaning to this when you say that you are a seeker, sir?
Well, first of all, thank you, Piyush, for hosting this event. And it is my great joy to speak to you and through you to so many other people. And my my thought for today is, what is it that I can share that can be of value to others, especially in the homeopathic community.
Hmm.
And you rightly asked the question, which word would describe me? And I would say that my life has been about being a seeker, because this is what excites me in a way. And I would like to tell you a story rather than tell you, definitions and theoretical things.
Yes, sir.
Start with a story.
Wow.
And I have prepared a small presentation which I will share with all of you.
That's even interesting, sir.
So, ever since I was a child, I always was curious. And this curiosity continues even till today. For example, the other day, outside my clinic, when I was going on a walk in the morning, I saw all these birds sitting on the wire. Now, the beauty of this is that they all gathered on this wire only. All the other wires were empty. And they all sat almost equidistant from each other and all facing the same direction.
Yeah.
So I liked this a lot and I took a picture of this. And I thought to myself, what is behind this? My curiosity was aroused. Why do these birds sit like this? Now, the answer to this question should not be theoretical. It should not be, I think they sit because of this or because of that, or some bookish learning that you have had before, like birds of a feather flock together. Okay, they are doing what birds are supposed to do. No. So, a seeker is somebody whose first quality is to be curious. and to be open minded and to not have any theories and to observe keenly. And then, with these observations, you start to relate this to other things that birds do and try to look at the commonality of all the things that you observe about birds or about this bird. And then maybe there is a working hypothesis. Maybe it's like this. Then you put it to experimentation and then you confirm, your views. So this process of seeking, of not, of coming from curiosity and coming from not knowing and observing, this is something that I love doing. This is my passion. Maybe it came from my father. And I want to tell you a little story that one day my father, mother, and me, my father said, we have to go to Tirupati. Now, Tirupati is a temple town in South India, very, very famous. Here is the temple, and all over India, people go there to visit the deity. And my father said, I was surprised. I said, this man is not a religious man. Why is he going to Tirupati? And then I found out when we went there that he didn't even want to enter the temple. What he wanted to do was to visit a university that is associated with the temple. And in that university, there were experiments being conducted on a type of photography called Kirlian photography, in which through some kind of process, when you photograph something, not only the object appears, but there is an aura around the object, as you can see here. And he wanted to see if this applies to homeopathic remedies as well. Whether maybe a homeopathic remedy also has an aura. And can we compare that aura to the patient's aura and to see an interaction of these auras? This was his curiosity.
Oh, wow.
So we went to this laboratory to see about Kirlian photography. So maybe a part of my seeking, comes from his influence also. Similarly, after his death, his closest friend, Dr. J.N. Kanjilar from Calcutta, he invited me to his house to study with him. And I stayed with him actually. He was one of the leading homeopaths of India and a great devotee or follower of Hahnemann. The journal that he edited was called Hahnemannian Gleanings. And he was a very strict classical homeopath. So, on the first day, when I sat in his house on a lunch table, a long lunch table, he was sitting on one side and I on the other. And we were eating. And suddenly I asked him, now remember, I was hardly 17 years old at that time. And I asked him, Sir, do you give single remedy or multiple remedies? He said, what do you think I should give? I said, Sir, of course, single remedy. He said, why? I said, because Hahnemann said that. He said, come here, my boy. So I walked to the other end of the table where he was sitting, thinking he's going to pat me on the back for saying such a nice thing. He slapped me on the face, with the hand that was eating food. We eat food with our hands. He slapped me and he said to me, he stood up and he said, damn the bloody Hahnemann. He was a senile fellow who didn't know what he was saying. Damn the bloody Kent. And he damned everybody. And then he said, tell me what you know. So this was the greatest devotee of Hahnemann, following classical homeopathy. But he was teaching me a lesson that science is not about faith. It is not a religion. Hanuman is not a god. We do not have to pray. We have to observe. We have to see for ourselves. We have to seek. The opposite of seeking is believing. The opposite of searching is theorizing. So these are the kind of precedents that I had in my life. Maybe they influence me also. And of course, Hanuman influenced me a lot. When we read his aphorism 83, he said, the individualizing examination of a case of disease demands of the healing artist nothing but freedom from prejudice and sound senses, attention in observing, and faithfulness in tracing the picture of disease. What was Hanuman talking about? He was talking about seeking with an open mind, you see, without prejudice, observing with sound senses. He was giving us, in fact, the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible of seeking in this aphorism. I'm tempted to tell you this aphorism in the German language.
Yes, sir.
That's the only paragraph I know in German. Diese individualisierende Untersuchung eines Krankheitsfalles verlangt von dem Heilkünstler nichts als Unbefangenheit und gesunde Sinne, Aufmerksamkeit im Beobachten und Treue im Aufzeichnen des Bildes der Krankheit. So, I mean, I hope you don't understand German.
Only paragraph I do, sir, because I've heard it from you.
Anyway, he says the individualizing examination, and the word he uses for examination in German is Untersuchung, and the word Suchung means search, research, seek, all are the same meaning. So if you want to seek something, you have to go without prejudice, with an open mind, with sound senses, with observation, and with complete faithfulness to what you see. You don't have to interpret, theorize, put things in your context. No, no, no. Just see what there is. I remember another great homeopath, our contemporary homeopath, Vitulkas. Once I was sitting in Aloni's house with him, and he had called for a teachers' meeting, so I had gone. And while we were having dinner, I asked him, tell me what is the secret of a successful prescriber? And he said, you know, when I see patients, remedies flash through my mind, you know, as the patient talks, but I don't get stuck in any of them. And the word Hahnemann uses in aphorism 83 is Unbefangenheit, which means non-stuckness. What we call freedom from prejudice, he says non-stuckness. Don't get stuck with anything. Be open. So these are the basic principles of seeking, which I learned.
Wow.
Now, this kind of seeking, where do we use?
Yeah.
First place we use is our cases. When we take cases, we are seeking what is the patient experiencing, what is he feeling, what are the symptoms. And here you have to go with a completely open mind, attention in observing, and faithfulness to what is being said. You see, without your interpretation, your theory, your ideas. So this is the first level of seeking in our daily practice.
Yes.
And that's where we have to be a seeker and not somebody with a stuck mind. We have to see each patient as a kind of an adventure, as a kind of a area you have never been before, because there was never anybody like that one before, and there never will be. You see? So the second area, Piyush,
Yes, sir.
is in the area of provings. Just like we understand patients by observing, by watching without prejudice, when we do a proving of a remedy, we have to use exactly the same principle. And that's why many times our provings are blinded. We don't even tell the provers what remedy they are proving because we don't want any prejudice, just observation. But as a proving master, we should not try to fit the proving into some idea of the remedy we know. And that's also where seeking comes, you see. And Piyush, I know that you have also coordinated at least two or three provings which we did together. So
Yeah.
maybe you can share something at this point.
Absolutely, sir. Because provings, the three or four provings we did, some of them were giving some results that were unexpected from the proving, and some things that were going off the track of what we supposed or theorized. But you never went just along with the theories. You always said that we have to be very much strict with our principles that we are working on, and we have to be just observant and see just what comes up. And when we did uh, decided how to go ahead with the pure observations, it turned out to be very much I would say it embarked that we were on the right track, and the super classes and whatever information should come came in much exact way just when we were unprejudiced. Otherwise, it was easy to go off track. But your this way of just experiencing and staying with the truth helped us to stay with the exact observations coming up that stamped that we are on the right track.
Exactly. So even suppose a patient, he says, I had, let's say, disappointment in love.
Yeah.
You don't suppose anything. You seek. You say, okay, what was your experience of that? And you'll be very surprised at the variety of possibilities that exist, and that goes into the core of the patient. So this is one aspect of seeking. Now, I want to say to you that my journey as a homeopath, which started almost 50 years ago now, half a century, has been really, really enhanced and helped and made beautiful by a lot of my colleagues whom I met along the way. The first one, of course, was Jayesh. And with him, we started a group, a study group, and we worked and collaborated with each other a lot. So, another aspect of seeking is collaboration. When you seek, you collaborate. Proving is also a collaboration, you see. So, this is the second mantra I'm giving. Here is a amazing human I met in Germany. His name is Jürgen Becker, and he was a just out of the box thinker. When students would come from Germany, I would ask them, who is a good homeopath there? They would say, well, this man and this Keller and that feller and whatever names they said. And then they say, there is one crazy fellow who never thinks logically. I said, that's the one I want to meet. And then we met, and he really inspired me a lot. He really inspired me a lot. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. And here is Mr. Gunwante, who was, he was my sounding board. So we would go for walks on Juhu Beach, and I would explain all my new ideas to him and draw, figures on the sand, and then have a nice snack called dahi vada and then come back. This was our reward for that walk.
Wow.
Yes. Those were the days, my friend. When will they come again? And here is my very, very dear friend Misha Norland. Misha was also into provings and into very good homeopathy. And one small incident I tell you, I founded the method called sensation method, right?
Yes.
And Misha also believed in sensation method. So we formed a group of homeopathic teachers who taught sensation method. We called it the World Institute of Sensation Homeopathy. And all these homeopaths were very passionate about sensation homeopathy, which I had discovered in a way, right? So I said, Misha, we are both members of this World Institute of Sensation Homeopathy, WISH it was called. I said, how do you feel? He said, Rajan, it's very good, but I think you and I should form WISSH. I said, what's that? He said, it's World Institute of Sometimes Sensation Homeopathy. So you see, he didn't want to be stuck to even that. That is the spirit of seeking. You see, I am even at this stage. When I see a good symptom, when I see a good totality, I will abandon my entire sensation method, five finger method, 10 toes method, 11 head method, everything, and go with what I see. I'm just joking. There are no other methods, please.
I can just I can just read it from your book, sir. The synergy in homeopathy. Here you say, sometimes I need to tell them that do not fully believe in Sankaran when I see some other good symptoms,
Yeah.
characteristics.
Yeah, I told the Wish members, I don't believe in the Shankaran guy too much, Sometimes he's okay. That is the spirit we need to get into. Not to be fanatic, even with your own ideas,
Yeah,
you see. And here is my dear friend Praful Barwalia, who believes from a completely different school of thought called the Dhawale School, Institute of Clinical Research. And we are such good friends and we share a lot. You see, this sharing, this collaboration, even with people who practice different methods, that's what really inspires you. Here is my friend Massimo Mangialavori from Italy, you see. And here is my friend Laurie Dack from Canada. These are just a few people who came with me on this path of seeking, on this path of adventure. We were all like Christopher Columbus discovering a new continent.
yeah.
You see, now what I'm talking is 40 years ago. Can you imagine?
Well,
When what you know now, there was no software, there was no sensation, no kingdoms, no miasms. The remedies we knew were so few.
that's
That
interesting.
was the
That
spirit.
with your seeking, so many things came up, and it was your, search for truth and search for betterment that evolved this whole system into where we have reached today, sir.
And here is Heiner Fry, who practices a completely different way, but we see commonality. We did a meeting, seminar together at the birth centenary of Boninghausen, and it was just amazing. We did it in Boninghausen's birthplace, and we fell in love at the first sight. It was so fantastic. And then he came to India to learn from me. I went to Switzerland to learn from him. This is collaboration. This is open mindedness.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, how did my journey begin? With all these colleagues on one side, how did my journey begin? Studying cases of successes and failure. I started to observe which cases are successful and which cases are not. Here is a picture of me in my young age in my clinic in Santa Cruz. This
Wow,
was a time when I was seeing 100 patients a day.
great.
It was full. I was working from like 8 in the morning till 11 at night, constant. And after 11, I would sit and study till 3 in the next morning.
Amazing, sir.
There were always two, three people in my clinic studying with me till 2 or 3 in the morning. Those were the times. You
Yeah,
see?
that's.
Now I became an old lazy man.
I don't agree with the word lazy, sir.
Okay, no problem. It means you agree with old. What are you saying?
So
Be diplomatic.
that is a pure
You are young
observation.
at heart and you are not. Are you're saying I don't agree with lazy means the other one you agreed. Cha, Piyush, I need another moderator now. Anyway, no problem. So this was a time I was seeing 100 patients a day. So it was easy to check the successful cases, what was common with them, and the failure cases, what was common with them. And what I discovered was that those cases, in which the remedy matched the mental symptoms and the general symptoms of the patient tended to be more successful than those who only matched the local symptoms without matching the mentals and the generals. This is what we observed. It was not a theory. You see, what Hahnemann wrote in aphorism 153 or 211, you see, in 211 he wrote that this holds true to such an extent that the state of disposition should match the remedy and the patient should match, are most important symptoms. You see? So the question is, this is what we observed, not what we believed. We saw this in our practice. And the question came, why is it so? And this kept on going in my mind, going in my mind, going in my mind constantly. This was the beginning of my seeking. And then one day when I was driving the car in near Juhu Beach, suddenly it flashed to me. Potentized remedies have dynamic effect only. This is what flashed. That means remedies don't have local effect. The moment you potentize it beyond 6C, which is Avogadro's number, you see, they don't have any local effect. There's no substance left. So they must have only general effects, you see, dynamic effects. And that is why that needs to be matched, because that is the most authentic. That is the central disturbance. That is how the whole idea of central disturbance started. Yeah. And from there on, this is what flashed in my mind. The reason why cases where we choose mental and general symptoms to match are successful is because the remedy has a mental and general effect first. That is what is most clear in a remedy. Local symptoms may vary, you see. It was like how the apple fell down on Newton's head. It was like this. Luckily, I didn't have an accident that day. But from that point, the whole evolution started. The idea of central disturbance, the importance of mental state, understanding the mental state as an expression of a perception or delusion, going beyond the perception into the experience or sensation, understanding the sensation in terms of miasms and levels, kingdoms and subkingdoms, and then the idea of mineral kingdoms, animals, and plant, and going into the plant kingdoms, into the subclasses of the dicotyledons. This was the evolutionary journey which came through seeking, one after the other, after the other. Understanding families, for example, what is common between Gelsemium, Nux vomica, and Ignatia? Studying, observing, and suddenly understanding that it is the shock, the surprise. And then understanding that this is the basis of the Loganiaceae family. This is the sensation. And then going beyond that, that Loganiaceae is a part of the sixth subclass of the dicotyledons called Asteridae. And what is common in Asteridae, in Stramonium, in Ignatia, in Arnica, in China, in Coffea? And understanding that it is the big trauma, the big attack, the terror, the life and death situation. All this, what I'm explaining to you in like 2 minutes, took me 10 years to evolve, or 15 years maybe.
And so we can say that seeking and pure observation is the foundation on which all of this has been erected.
Observation followed by confirmation, by experience, by experimentation, by study, by provings. Yeah. Sometimes when I didn't understand the whole idea, I would prove the remedy. For example, I knew calcarea, I knew baryta, but I didn't know strontium. which is in the same second column. So I did a proving of strontium to understand what it is. If I didn't understand the monocots, I did a proving of veratrum. So there are no theories here, just observation.
Yes.
You see? Observation and then comparisons with what you see here, what you see there, what is the commonality. It is just like the in a patient, what you see in the fear, what you see in the dream, what you see in the interest and the hobby, what do you see in the relationship, what do you see in the dream, what is the commonality? There's no theory. You see, that is pure observation.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the whole thing evolved like this, and then came a very, very interesting story, which is that when I understood the six subclasses, for example, Asteridae is attack and terror. For example, Magnolidae is withdrawal and clinging. I understood this, you see. So, six subclasses. Hemamelidae is open and closing. Caryophyllidea is shrinking and expanding, you see. And then, when you or Delanidae, which is the fourth subclass, is security and stability. You see. So, in this way, I understood the six subclasses of dicotyledons, and I was teaching this to a group of Brazilian homeopaths who had come to India. We had a lot of, I think there were 60 students there in the class, and I was teaching them these subclasses. And then I asked them, for example, this was an experiment. I said, tell me, if you step out in the street in Mumbai with all the traffic, what do you experience? And one of them says, I want to withdraw. One of them says, I want to attack. One of them says, I look for safety. So they were describing each one, six people got up and they described these six subclasses. It was quite uncanny. And I said, see, these are the six subclasses. These are exactly the dynamic of the six subclasses of the plants. And then when I went home, I couldn't sleep because I got a question in my mind that how come all the Brazilians only need plant remedies? How come? There must be some minerals in them, some animals in them also. This is seeking. This question should come. How come? I couldn't sleep the whole night. And in the morning, somehow again I got a flash and I realized that what I see in each of these subclasses, these dynamic, this common sensation must also have a correspondence in the mineral and in the animal groups. And that is how the idea of superclasses came about.
Yeah.
That magnolidae is similar to lithium, beryllium, and boron, and to oysters because all of them withdraw. That hemamelidae is similar to carbon and to snails. That caryophyllidea, which shrinking and expanding, is similar to birds, and it is similar to natrum, magnesium, and third row of periodic table. So this is how the idea of the superclasses came. How did it come? With a question. How come these Brazilians only talk about plant? How come? Why not one mineral there? Then I understood it's this withdrawal is not just the plant quality. It's a quality of a group in minerals also and animals also. And the discovery of the superclasses has been one of the biggest discoveries because then it created the idea of the five finger method that if you want an exact prescription, you match these five aspects the superclass, kingdom, miasm, characteristics, and keynotes.
Yes, sir.
So, this is also one form of seeking. This internal research into homeopathy. We talked about seeking in terms of case taking, seeking in terms of provings, now seeking in terms of the inner research into the homeopathic methodology. And this is, now we understand that three of these fingers are conceptual, experiential, and two of them are factual or symptomatic. And if we put the conceptual and the factual together, it's like putting the right brain and the left brain together to make your choice. So this is where it has come. And from this, we created the entire chart. As you can see here, which superclass, which kingdom, which miasm, what are your rubrics and source. And this has become a very easily teachable, reproducible method. And this is something that I'm so happy to share with the profession. Because why? Because this gives consistent results. Something I had started to look for 45 years ago. I want a method that gives consistent results, and I'm happy to say that now I feel satisfied that this is it.
Great, sir. And what are the other areas where you see yourself as a seeker and it works out for you?
So once you come to the idea of these five fingers matching, you see, then comes the idea of understanding remedies like that. So to seek what is a remedy. So for example, when we look at alumina, what do we know about alumina? We know about alumina the confusion of identity.
Yes.
We know its suicidal and homicidal tendencies.
Yes, sir.
Right? Now, if we look into this, you see, I had a patient who said to me, I feel that my in laws are treating me like a puppet. I feel that if I have to say something, they are saying it, not me, you know. Even to name my child, I have to ask them, you see. Now, what does this show? I asked her, why don't you leave them? Why don't you go away? And she says, how can I go? I'm totally dependent on them. You see, how can I manage on my own? At least with them, I am getting some food, some shelter, some security, some love and affection. Outside, God knows whether I will get it or not. So what are we seeing here? We are seeing that her world is small, limited. And she chooses to be in this small world because it gives her something, it gives her an advantage. This idea of limiting yourself is typical of the third superclass.
Yes.
Similarly, the feeling that I cannot decide for myself. She says, I feel not confident about myself. I don't know what I want, who I am. This is typical of the third row of periodic table, which has issues of identity.
Mm.
And this homicidal and suicidal is typical of the syphilitic miasm. And confusion of identity is the main characteristic of alumina. So, and if I illustrate that with a case, you understand this remedy fully. So you can understand a remedy from these five aspects. And this way of understanding remedies is what I'm currently teaching in my course called Remedies with Rajan.
Yes.
And the ninth season of this, that means each season has six remedies. So we have already done 8 seasons. The ninth season is beginning in early June. So this also a way of seeking to understand a remedy is another thing. The other way of seeking is to look at allied fields. You see, we don't need to wear blinkers like horses, homeopathy, homeopathy, homeopathy. Homeopathy is not restricted to materia medica and repertory and to pills. Homeopathy is a principle. It's a principle of similia, which you can see everywhere in the universe. Everything is homeopathy. So, can you think out of the box? Can you think that music is homeopathy, art is homeopathy, humor is homeopathy? Can you imagine? Meditation is homeopathy. Everything is homeopathy. So when you look at allied fields, using the same idea, the same principle, it's another way of seeking. Where can I see homeopathy in music? Where can I see it in a movies, in an art, in a book, in a humor, in a joke?
Yeah.
So I learned classical music for a long time, nearly 20 years. Here is a picture of me with my music teacher Lakshman Jain and the tabla player Kashinath Mishra sitting in my house and learning to sing. I never learned to sing, I'm sorry to say, you see. I can tell you a small joke. I used to sing in all my seminars,
Hmm.
because I was very enthusiastic about singing. So one day I realized how bad it must be because one seminar organizer told me, your fees will be like $2,000, but if you insist on singing, we'll only give you 1,000.
We need to remind that it was a joke.
Huh?
We need to remind that it was a joke. The people may take it seriously, sir.
May, it's up to them. But then I started asking myself, what is the commonality between music and homeopathy? And then I realized that in music, we have ragas, Indian ragas or melodies, and each melody is supposed to have a particular time, a particular season, a particular mood. Is it not our remedies? Our remedies have time, season, and mood. Then I said, no, there were a lot of theories, This raga is a romantic raga, this raga is a sad raga. No, no, no. I said, no, I don't want all this. I will find. So during the COVID times, when everybody was a little bit free, I created a group of 20, 25 people across the world, people who didn't know music. And I would sing to them one melody or one raga every alternate day. And I asked them to write the effects of this raga on all the levels, emotional level, physical level, delusion level, sensation level, energetic level. And we collated all these things together to like a proving of a raga. Like this, we did about 30 ragas during COVID times.
Right.
And from that, I created an app called the Raga Therapy app, which, if you put in your information, it will choose the raga for you. Even today morning, I had a patient who said, I go to your Raga Therapy app and I got for myself the Raga Bhairavi,
Hmm.
and it helps me a lot. So, I mean, expand the idea of homeopathy. When you look at art, similarly, I just want to share with you that a few years ago, I was invited to Romania by a good friend of mine, Gentiana Chubuk. And she lives near a forest. So we used to go for walks in the forest. I love walking, you know that. So here I am going in the forest and I'm walking. And I'm also an avid photographer. I'm bad at everything, but I do everything. I don't really care. You see, I don't wait to become perfect before I do something. I just
Wow.
do it. Yeah, I just do it. So I took a photograph of this tree. Somehow this tree had an impact on me. And it was standing there alone and without leaves. All other trees had leaves, and this was like this. And I took this photo, and it had some effect on me. I can't tell you what. So I sent it to three or four friends of mine. I have good friends, so I sent them on WhatsApp. And they wrote very nice, beautiful, this and that. But I was not happy with these replies, you see. I said, what effect does it have on you? I asked this question, you see. Same like a raga. What effect does it have on you?
Yeah.
Yeah. No point saying beautiful, nice, and this and that. And I found that each friend wrote me a completely different description of what effect it had on them.
Hmm.
And they were so different, and I realized that what they were talking about was not the tree, but about themselves. And
Right.
I showed this to a few patients, and one of them said, "Can you see those little dark things at the bottom? They are elephants. There are 5 elephants coming towards me, and they are going to crush me and kill me." Can you imagine this? Now that patient's remedy was stramonium. But can you imagine just looking at a picture how your inner state comes out by a process of projection?
Yeah.
And this became the wise process. This is how I started with the wise process. And this has helped me a lot in homeopathic case taking, especially in people who are not so expressive. Then you show them this picture or show them a posture, and a whole idea developed about wise, witnessing inner song experience. And
Yes.
then I discovered that these wise processes are not only diagnostic, but they are therapeutic. Once it comes up in your consciousness, healing happens. So we created many wise retreats where people would come and heal. Can you imagine how a simple photograph shared on a WhatsApp begins a whole process if you're a seeker?
Great, sir.
You are not satisfied with average, mediocrity, and routine answers. When you want to know why the birds sit on that wire facing the same side and exactly equidistant, why? I don't know the answer to that one, but maybe on my 75th birthday, I will tell you.
It's a work in progress.
I think till I find the answer, I will not die. It will work on me.
May God bless you with more such questions, sir.
Maybe. But I just want to share the spirit of seeking.
That's so wonderful, sir.
I want to share one or two more ways of seeking.
Yes.
Now, when you read the Wikipedia, when you read anything about homeopathy, it is written, it is worth noting that the scientific community views homeopathy as a pseudo scientific system which is not supported by empirical evidence. That means there is no evidence that homeopathy works. This is what is written in all things about homeopathy. If you read Wikipedia, you will see that. We are called a pseudoscience. Now, I don't want to be a pseudoscience, you see. And if it is really a pseudoscience, if it is, I'm open to that. Maybe it's a pseudoscience. Then I don't want to practice it.
Hmm.
So there the seeking begins. And there's where research, clinical research starts. So what I did, you remember, this is my son Soham.
Oh,
I want to say that Soham is a very intelligent guy. And he says to me, Papa, there is no evidence that homeopathy works. You see? I said, but Soham, we have so many cases that are successful. I can show you. He says, but that is only anecdotal. That doesn't matter because there are many cases of spontaneous remission. There are many cases of placebo cures. So, one or two odd cases, even if it is cancer, is not evidence. Says, you, Papa, you must do research. He also encouraged me. So, then, this is a picture of me in the COVID times.
hmm.
You see, I could have become a guru, but I decided not to. I had at least the hairstyle for that. But this was only because the barbers were not there. So during COVID times, I thought this is a great opportunity to find some evidence for homeopathy. if it, and to really check if homeopathy has an effect, even for ourselves, even for us to know, you see. So then I am the mentor of this Prana Homeopathy Yoga Center, which is also on the lines of the other song in Mumbai. And I thought, let us do some clinical trials. So I spoke to all the doctors of Prana and they agreed to do this trial. This was the first wave of COVID. Can you imagine? This was somewhere around March of 2020
Yeah.
when COVID hit. And what I did, I tried to get permission for giving homeopathy in COVID. And the government of India, the health department, the IMA, health ministry, Ayush, they said absolutely not. Homeopathy will not treat COVID.
Yeah.
I struggled for nearly 2 months to get that permission. It was a very big struggle. And finally, at the end of 2 months, I managed to get the permission for us to treat COVID. We were the first people to get that permission to do the research.
Oh,
So, Prana Yoga Center, which was founded by Bajaj, Rajiv Bajaj is a friend of mine, a great supporter of homeopathy. And he said, okay, I will fund the trial. But then how do we get hospitals to do it? Again, I begged and begged and begged and begged all the doctors that I knew from Bombay and Pune, please give me some patients, so we can conduct a trial. It was absolutely no. Finally, there's a very famous hospital in Pune called Ruby Hall. And the head of Ruby Hall, one Dr. Parvez Grant, he was open enough to say, okay, you can conduct this trial. This was the first hospital that gave us permission. So the doctors of Prana, can you imagine? They went into these hospitals and took 1 hour histories of COVID patients.
wow.
This was a time when nurses used to throw the food to the patient. They were afraid to go close. And these doctors sat next to the patient with all the equipment, of course, and took 1 hour. And some of the doctors have young children.
Mm.
They did this for homeopathy. Can you imagine this? And sometimes they didn't even inform their families that they were going to do this research because they thought they will stop them.
That's a great sacrifice from them as well, sir.
Yes, and 12 of them every day went to the hospitals.
Amazing.
And then they would write the history. This is Rajiv Bajaj. And they would write the history and send it to me. And I would make a prescription. And we did what is known as random control. That means patients would be assigned at random to a homeopathically treated group and a placebo group. Everything else is the same. Standard medical care, whatever was given, remdesivir, this and that was given to both groups. And the homeopathic group was given homeopathy, placebo group was given placebo, and neither the treating doctors nor the patients knew who was getting placebo and who was getting homeopathy. That would be only opened later on. So
Oh,
it was almost like a double blind study. It was not exactly, but almost like. So we did that treatment. This is Dr. Ayushi, the head of Prana, and she helped us a lot. And this is Dr. Naveen Pavaskar, who is very good at research, and now he helped us a lot. He guided us a lot because I was totally new to research, and he was good at it. So he has helped me throughout.
great.
And here is the team of Prana we met after the trial, much, much later. And I went there and I met them to thank them for that enormous sacrifice that they have done. You
Mm.
see. And then this is the whole team that did it. These are all the doctors. This was much after the trial.
That's a
And then what happened?
yeah.
We started to we wrote a paper. We found a very good significant results with homeopathy. That giving homeopathic medicine made a lot of difference. I'll tell you the difference also. And then we sent this paper to one journal, second journal, third journal. Rejected, rejected, rejected. Each journal would keep it for 6 months and reject it. And the reasons they gave were not logical at all. The first journal said, we reject it because homeopathy has no known effect on COVID. I said, my dear friend, this paper is for that only.
Yeah.
It is as if allopathic drugs had effect on COVID. Remdesivir was proven to have no effect.
Yes.
But here is a drug that is having effect. Publish the paper. No. The second journal said we don't have reviewers because these papers have to be peer reviewed.
Yes.
They said we don't have a reviewer, reject. Finally, the fourth journal took the paper and thoroughly reviewed it. They sent us 5 times for revision. They asked so many questions, so many details, and we kept replying, replying, replying. And I want to say to you, finally, just a few days ago, the paper has been published. And the journal is called Advances in Integrative Medicine. It's a very reputed journal, very well quoted journal, published by a famous publisher called Elsevier.
Big
And this is the
congratulations.
paper, a randomized placebo-controlled clinical trial using homeopathy as an adjuvant to standard care in the management of COVID-19.
Big
And what we did in this paper was we took the help of Dr. Anil Khurana, who was the chairman of the Central Council of Research in Homeopathy, and Dr. Devdatta Nayak from Central Council of Research in Homeopathy, and two doctors, Reena Shah and Dr. Kishore Kilare, are in are the doctors of the hospital. They are the allopaths.
Oh.
So this paper has been conjointly written. You see, right under their very nose, we have done the research. No hocus pocus is possible. It's random controlled, placebo controlled, blinded trial. So we tried to meet the highest standards of research. And this is in a peer reviewed and very reputed journal. So I'm very happy to inform you that this was the biggest gift I could get for my birthday. That and what I want to say, why did I show the picture of Gandhi, is because 5 years we struggled to do this research and produce this paper and get it accepted by a journal. I cannot tell you the amount of stress and the tension we went through and the patience, because once you send, you can't do anything. You have to wait and wait.
Yeah.
And my inspiration for this was Mahatma Gandhi. Because I said, if he could struggle 27 years to get independence for India, and that also starving and jailing and beating and whatnot, and World War II and all of that, I said, I think 5 years is not a big thing. So I kept, I kept him as my ideal, to do this. So seeking also, I think what we really need to get rid of that pseudoscience label is
Yeah.
to do clinical research. And here is something that I'm going to share with all of you, where the mortality rate in the homeopathic group was 10 times lower than the placebo group. Can you imagine?
Wow.
There were 133 people in homeopathic group, 136 in placebo group. In the homeopathic group, there was one death. In the placebo group, 12 deaths. That means it was more than 10 times more without homeopathy. That means, according to this paper, homeopathy lowers the mortality rate drastically.
Yeah.
And similarly, ICU admission and ventilatory support in the homeopathy group was significantly less. There is something called statistical significance, where if it is less than 0.05, the p value or probability value, we call it significant. 0.05. And ours was 0.003, which is like fantastic.
Yeah. So all these p values and everything is available on the article in the website.
Yes, it is available on the article. I'm going to share this with all of you. You can read the article and you can spread it also.
I'll just share the link, sir.
Similarly, we did a homeopathic trial in granulomatous mastitis. Now, this condition of inflammatory autoimmune condition of the breast has very little treatment in modern medicine. But Dr. Kopikar, who is a very prominent breast surgeon in Pune, he said, let us do a trial together. And then, with the help of Dr. Shrikant and Dr. Sonali, we took 30 cases of granulomatous mastitis and we treated them. Some cases now are completed 1 year and some cases are going on, but every single case has improved and within 6 months has reversed.
And
And Dr. Kopikar came to our Pune seminar. You must have heard him, Piyush.
yes,
And he said, these are the most excellent results I have seen. And we are going to publish a paper on this after a year, when the 1 year is completed for the last case. Now, this is the kind of trials we need.
yeah,
And this is done with the allopath. And all investigations are done by them, not by us. We have nothing to hide. And I tell you, all these cases were treated with the five finger method. And that is why I know that five finger method is effective. Because to produce good result in 30 consecutive cases is a dream of every homeopath.
agree, sir. Absolutely agree.
And these are the remedies given. Every case was given single remedy. Every case was given no specifics, individual constitutional medicine based on five finger method.
And these are all regular common remedies. No,
Common remedies.
yeah,
So we don't need to rely on specifics. We don't need to rely on combinations. Classical homeopathy is the best. This proves that also.
absolutely, sir.
Yeah. I want to complete this talk by saying of two other types of seeking. One is inner seeking, to know who you are, to know what makes you tick, to think what is going on inside your head.
Hmm.
What are your patterns? What are your anxieties? What are your hopes and fears? To be aware of yourself, to observe your own self. This is the another form of seeking. Here are the books that I wrote, and some of the books are about this inner seeking. One is Manji the Boatman, you can see here. And then there is a book called Dog Yogi Banyan Tree. And finally, there is a book called Monks, Monkeys, and Memories. These are all about inner seeking. And the rest of the book on superclasses and all of that, I don't want to elaborate further than that.
So as we talked about seeking, it's yeah, you complete it first, then I'll ask.
And the last is the spiritual seeking, to know who am I? Am I this body? Am I this mind? Or am I something larger than that? Am I presence? Am I consciousness? Again, it's a seeking. I don't want anybody to read books about it. I want you to seek. You know, the Hari Vamsharai Bachchan says in his poem Madhushala, Dharma Granth sab jala chuki hai jiske antar ki jwala. मंदिर मस्जिद गिरजा सबको तोड़ चुका जो मतवाला पंडित मोमिन पादरियों के फंदों को जो काट चुका कर सकती है आज उसी का स्वागत मेरी मधुशाला. He says, my place of being welcomes people who have burnt the holy books, who have broken the temples and the mosques, who have cut the cords from spiritual preachers and all of these people who say they know things, and people who look within themselves. Come, you are welcome here. Let us meet there. This is our meeting place. You see. So when you seek, don't read books, don't listen to what other people say. Knowledge is filled in heads replete with thoughts of other men, wisdom in minds attentive to their own.
Yeah.
Look within. This is a poem by William Cowper, a British poet. Seek inside, spiritual. And that brings me to the end and how to celebrate the birthday. My spiritual guide, you can say, Ramana Maharishi, he wrote, "You who wish to celebrate the birthday, seek first whence was your birth. Were you ever born?
Hmm.
One's true birthday is when one enters that which transcends birth and death, the eternal being." You see,
Wow.
that's what he said. So, therefore, I don't think even at 65, after 65 birthdays, I had a real birthday. I was never. You see,
What is this webinar for, sir? It's for seeking then.
it is for sharing a journey, hopefully, that can help others. That is the purpose.
Yes, sir.
So, I want to summarize by saying what are the qualities of a seeker, what we have said here through all these stories. One is inquisitiveness and curiosity. Second is open mindedness and free to give up your opinion, hard work, non judgmental observation, out of the box thinking, and collaboration and teamwork. So, this is the way I could summarize the qualities of a seeker.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And
We'll try to imbibe it.
so, good wishes from the heart of a seeker.
Thank you, sir.
And here is my website, www.rajansankaran.com, where you can see my books, my courses, my meditations, etc. And if you have any questions, here is the email of Kyle that you can see below, wolfiek@gmail.com. So, yeah, Piyush, that kind of brings me to the end of what I wanted to share. And I want to say to you that when I met you, I also found a seeker in you. And I found somebody who really was open minded um, and very, very good kind of intentioned. And I'm very glad about that. May your tribe increase and may you and people like you inspire other people. And God knows homeopathy needs younger generation people, like you. And, in the beginning of the talk, before we switched on, we were just talking. And I said, you are young and good looking, and I'm old and lazy. And you said, you are certainly not lazy. And I said, oh shit, that means I'm old. Yeah, it's true. So, anyway, I'm
What
glad
old
that
Telugu?
younger people will take up this. And you said very nicely that you read the foreword before you read the book. You meet the teacher before you meet the teaching.
Yes, sir.
And that is what I tried to share with you. This is what I can guide.
Thanks a lot for your wonderful time, wonderful teachings, and wonderfully you expressed who you are and what is it that makes Dr. Rajan the Dr. Rajan Sankaran. And if I could just summarize it in something, that it's not so many big things, but it is one consistent great quality of a scientific mindset and a seeker that has evolved so many things, whether it was the law of gravity by a falling apple, or the wise process. There's so many healing things that are happening, just that started with one picture, and you're seeking of what actually it does within you. That's so remarkable lesson that I take home with myself, sir. We again wish you a very, very happy birthday, sir, and we pray that you stay with us long and healthy, and for so many times keep inspiring us, keep guiding us, because you are the torchbearer for the homeopathy community, and whole the community wishes you a very, very happy birthday, sir. Thank you. Thanks for your wonderful times.
Thanks a lot, Piyush.
Welcome, sir. Thanks, friends, for joining. Now we sign off. Bye bye.